Hello, everyone, and welcome to this introduction to Block Party number 98, starting tomorrow, Friday, February 25th at 7 a.m. Pacific time. And this particular introduction is an introduction to the Solar Radiation Management section, or SRM, from 9 to 11 Pacific time. And we're going to be talking about a really great meeting that we had yesterday that James, our colleague James Desmond in Cork, Ireland, organized and led very effectively with a number of leading scientists and engineers on the topic of global warming, how to stop global warming and then reverse it, actually cool the planet. And this is leading up to an international press conference that we're going to host with the same scientific and engineering leaders, probably a bit more, and as well as some political leaders. And just to frame it, it's going to have four major parts, the press conference. Part one, the problem of exponential planetary overheating, which, if anything, has been tremendously understated by the media, governments, et cetera, even academia. And so we're going to state in no uncertain terms just how urgent and severe the overheating is and the edge of the cliff that it's taking us to very quickly, unless we stop it, which then takes us to part two, the solution, how to stop exponential global warming and then actually reverse it. And the best solutions that we know of for that are solar radiation management, which, if and when deployed at planetary scale, I'm going to say when deployed at planetary scale because I want to be positive, they will cool our planet. Not just stop the exponential overheating, but reverse it, actually cool the planet. We will be cooler. Let's take the temperature, not just anyway, this is a fine point, but a very important one. And that's the distinction between temperature and heat, two different things. And we're going to see right now we're taking in heat, we're overheating. We need to cool where we shed heat and bring the heat content of the planet back down to the pre-industrial baseline-ish, right? Somewhere around there. And refreeze the Arctic, refreeze glaciers. So anyway, that's the solution, solar radiation management. And behind Marco there is an image of the concept of the marine cloud brightening vessels that will be spraying ocean water into the air, driven by wind power, to create clouds that reflect sunlight back into space. That's the most scalable, most powerful solution we know of within the broader category of SRM. So we've talked about the problem, the solution. The third part is going to be what has been and is the role of governments and other institutions in all of this. And governments and other institutions, including the private sector, nonprofit sector, academia, religious sector, et cetera, have been conspicuously absent from this conversation, which is precisely one of the reasons why we're holding the press conference to say, hello, world. We have this extremely urgent problem with an urgency on a time scale of months. We have amazing solutions ready to go or almost ready to go. And part three, where are the institutions? Where are the world's institutions, society's institutions, notably governments, academia, et cetera, in terms of moving the conversation forward so that we can get these solutions implemented? They're basically absent. So we're taking it upon ourselves to co-create this upcoming press conference to announce to the world, hello world, we've got this urgent problem, we've got this amazing set of solutions, and we're doing it. And how are we going to do it? How are we going to get it implemented? Well, we're co-creating the how. We don't know how. We have a lot of ideas. But part 3 is really about the conspicuous absence of these other institutions, including governments. And, how do we manage for that? How do we manage around that? How do we invite these institutions in, et cetera? And then part 4 is what's next? And what's next is where do we go from here after the press conference? And what we're inviting the world to do is participate with us in not just a conversation, but a whole network of conversations spanning all the different facets of, again, the problem, the solutions, the role of institutions, and the role of humanity as a whole, acting as individuals, as families, as companies, as nonprofit organizations, as institutions of myriad kinds, coming together in this vast network of conversations, constituting a planetary collective intelligence hyper-focused on cooling the planet through SRM, the only set of solutions that can possibly cool the planet in time to save life on Earth. And with that, Marco, any questions, any comments?
Well, comments, I think one of my biggest hopes for the meeting we just had and the video that will come from that and be distributed and the press conference is not just an awareness of global warming, but an awareness of the true extent of it. And between misinformation and lack of information and this still present silo effect of all the different sciences not collaborating and sharing information, not on purpose or but because they're people are so focused on what they're doing, they're forgetting how important it is to share with the others. And I'm hoping that there will be a real knowledge brought to the public of how severe the problem is, because I've seen very few in comparison, I think too few scientists that understand it. And certainly I haven't seen a politician that has a clue. And that has to change. So if our leaders don't really have a clue of how severe the problem is and how little time we have left, there's really no hope of solving that problem. And once this should at least get our leaders the information they need, and hopefully much of the general public, or enough of the general public, that if they have leaders that are resistant or still blind or clueless, that they will get pressure to get the job done that we need to get done. And I'm very confident that right now we're on absolutely the right track to do that. And with that, I'm complete.
Awesome. Thank you, Marco. Good stuff. Interesting. As I listen to you, I hear this emphasis on our leaders. And, you and I grew up in a world in the United States where the political leadership of the national government of the United States was very strong, and at times during our growing up, quite benevolent or seemingly benevolent. And in this case, I'm really questioning whether, questioning what role will our leaders, political leaders, government leaders play in implementing solar radiation management at planetary scale. I'm not convinced that they're going to play a major role. I hope that they will. I hope that all sectors of society will step forward and play a major role so that we can get this done as quickly as possible. But I'm by no means counting on it. And hence part 4 of what I laid out at the beginning. What's next? Where do we go from here? And where we're offering to go from here is a planetary network of conversations to which everyone is invited, which operates outside of the confines and constraints of any government anywhere. It's just a conversation, but it's a conversation that really focuses holistically on the question, how do we do this? How do we implement solar radiation management at planetary scale? And we'll explore myriad scenarios, with governments taking the lead, with governments not taking the lead. So anyway, I just wanted, and myriad others, other permutations thereof. So with that, I pass the feather. Go ahead, Marco.
Yeah, I probably wasn't as clear where I was placing my hope and my thinking that we are going to get this done is, you know, hopefully some of our world leaders will get the clue and act, but my faith is in the general public. Once they get the knowledge and they can see we're dealing with facts and not misinformation, and we're dealing with all the facts and not just selecting something to benefit any one group or country, or this is humanity's, all of us. There's no borders here. This is the planet at stake. This is all life on Earth at stake, and everyone has to have the knowledge in order to act. And although I hope maybe that, you know, governments will do what
You muted your microphone, Marco. But
okay,
the last thing we heard you say was, I hope governments will.
okay, I hope the governments will do what's right for the people, but it's based on, you know, the last few years. I don't hold a lot of hope that they'll get together and start working together without massive pressure from the public. But you know, I'm banking on the best of the civilian, let's call it, you know, the everyday people to come forward and do what's right. Thank you.
Awesome, Marco. Well, I'm right there with you. All righty. Well, with that, if we're complete, let's conclude this one and go on to the next one. All right. Thanks so much.